once again with Allan Parker.
Good afternoon, Ian Berry.
And we're continuing, Alan, our conversation about conversations. Today's number 8. I had to check because we're on a roll, my friend.
If somebody said to me which one was it, I said 5 or 6.
Yes.
Wow, that's incredible.
I had to look, and today we're going to explore a couple of more of the pillars of wise conversations. Today being what makes a compelling conversation,
yes, and
what makes a civil conversation, which was one we added to the original 5 that we started with.
We did. They're an interesting couple of pillars, right? Yeah,
indeed they are.
Yeah,
right. Because I know we've only got a short amount of time today, but I will put a link to. I wrote a paper on compelling conversations with our mutual friend Gary Edwards.
Oh, right.
A while ago. So I'll put a link to that paper. Gary comes at it. Yeah. So, but yeah, I think they're my place to start with what with compelling is about. Well, are the people in the room curious? Are they engaged? Are they contributing? And what led to those things?
Yeah.
Because I think if people are curious and engaged, and obviously, have got their energy in the play, then there's something going on, and I guess we should explore what leads to that.
Yeah.
What helps people to feel engaged, to feel like they can put their energy into the circle.
Gosh,
I'll pose it as a question for you, Alan.
My brain's just gone pop, 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 pop. If something is compelling in its delivery and creates a sense of compelling in the reception, where we have dual compelling.
Yeah.
I think one of the, and I've just come out, as you know, I've just come out of a series of fairly complex conversations that are bordering on the edge of not being civil. But the people, Ian, believe they're very compelling.
Yeah, that's an interesting one, isn't it?
Isn't it? And their compelling, I think, is confused with forceful.
Right.
And strong and almost bullish. And I don't know about you, but I don't find bullish very often compelling. No,
me neither. No, what I mean by compelling is it's compelling me to put my energy in.
It's drawing on a desire for me to be part of.
Yeah, it's pulling me in.
Yeah.
In a positive way. One of the things that I think is important in this, and it probably helps with the civil part of things as well. And I was reading an article this morning in my sort of 15-minute catch up in what's going on in the world, and I saw Greg Combet, who was the climate change minister under Prime Minister Gillard.
Yes.
And he's talking about the current energy debacle in Australia.
Yeah. And
he said something like, in fact, I'll just look in my journal here because I made a note of it. He said, ideology needs to be taken out of the debate.
Yeah.
And I reckon that's what leads to this forceful stuff.
Yeah.
There's too much ideology. I mean, when I read that, I immediately said out loud to myself, how come we're still debating this? when are we going to actually get on and do something?
Yeah.
But I think it's ideology's got its place. We talked last time, and you made this wonderful suggestion that we should declare our opinions.
Oh yes, I remember. Yep.
And I think we should declare our ideology before we get into conversation. And in fact, I would argue that there's a place to have a conversation about ideology.
Yes.
But most compelling conversations are not about ideology.
Yeah.
They're about the issues at hand.
Yeah.
You know, the focus. So I think there's something in that. What do you think?
Yeah, very much. Very much. I like the pointing out that there are times when there is a need for a conversation about ideology.
Yeah.
But there are times when it's if my ideology permeates into a discussion about what you and I are experiencing, I'm overriding our conversation with my confirmational bias.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
And therefore we can't possibly be compelling in the sense of drawing each other in order to get to a shared conclusion about what we're going to do next.
Yeah. Or even if we don't come up with a shared conclusion, we can come up with the fact that both perspectives can coexist.
Yeah, we can. Yeah. Whereas that's not possible if we've got conflicting ideologies.
No, not as easy.
No, and I think people often say to me, "Well, what's stopping us make progress? Why are we not making progress?" And my answer is almost always ideology is stopping us.
Yeah. And one of my favorite little super simple bits is that I'll be compelling if I talk with and to you, not at or about, or much worse, not for or on your behalf.
Yeah.
And we've just got to do it this way. And I'm saying we've got to do it's the royal we. We've got to do it this way, but it's not. I'm talking on behalf of you without checking.
I think with and to are also keys to civil civil part of the conversation.
Yes. I very much think I really like with and to, not at or about or for. It's just a really simple formula.
An interesting part of regularity, we'll probably look at this in the continuous part of wise conversations, but if we're practiced at with and to with a group, let's say once a group's met 2 or 3 times and the focus is with and to, you get to decisions really easily. Sometimes even 1 or 2 conversations of with and to can lead to a conversation. Whereas if there's at or about or for, well, you're never going to get there.
The with and to, for me, there's me declaring my opinion. The with and to, for me, somehow combines you and me. And my favorite Allan word of it rises our usness. It's whatever's being said isn't about Allan or isn't about Ian. It's about the mix of what Allan and Ian bring and the energy it creates between us, which somehow I always feel like it just touches into me and pulls my desire to be part of.
Yes.
No,
I feel the same. I think it's like we're all interconnected.
Mhm. Yeah,
But we can't go it alone.
yeah,
We need each other.
yes,
And so there must be a sense of usness
mm,
in order to reach the best conclusion,
yeah, yeah,
or to take the next step in the best possible way.
yeah.
Uh,
And I think it also, again, it's for me, I'm sure that it's not true of everybody, but I have a sense that for me to be compelling, I've got to be considering Ian and thinking what's going to be or what might be compelling for him, what's going to, resonate. And
resonate.
part of that's about me going, let me put Alan aside just for a minute and imagine that I'm in Ian's shoes. And yeah, just.
It requires, I love the word resonate.
Yes, so do I. So do I.
I remember many years ago when I learnt to play the guitar, and the music people first, banged that. I forget what the instrument is called, but you heard the hum of the, to get the tuning fork,
Yes.
and the resonation of it.
Yeah.
But it's I find it, when you say something that is directed at me
Mhm.
and that resonates with me,
Yes.
both of our energy levels rise,
Yes. Yeah.
because you said something that resonated, and I'm giving you the energy response that it resonated.
Yeah. Ian, I love how frequently you and I are talking about something, and nerdy Allan Parker's been reading articles on neuroscience, and and you say something and I go, oh, I just read about that. But the frontal lobe of the brain is here, and the in the frontal lobe there's what's called a dorsolateral prefrontal cortex.
Right.
So dorso means the top, lateral means the side of the top, and it's prefrontal. So it's about here. And the dorsolateral prefrontal cortex is wired and sparks when you and I talk about each other or us.
Each other or us.
Yes. So if Alan considers Ian, or Ian considers Alan, or Alan or Ian consider us together, the dorsolateral prefrontal cortex is doing the processing. So it's the
it's
piece
like
of
the
brain.
tuning fork.
It's
the vibration.
So it's like the tuning fork.
Yep.
And just inside that is the medial prefrontal. And it's where Alan stops and goes into Alan to check Alan's internal experience. And I'm just thinking both of those are necessary for me to check that what I'm thinking about that I say to Ian. And I find myself needing to do this every time I go into neuroscience, because I know how passionate I am about it, but I'm really mindful of going, just watch that you don't get over enthusiastic, nerd. So I have this dance between the medial and the dorsolateral prefrontal. And the good thing is, Ian, if we're in the prefrontal anywhere, we're being considerate. Yeah.
It's kind of like, there's more than one conversation going on, and we have to be able to pay attention to all of the different conversations at once.
Yeah.
And I think accurately hear them within the context. So, when I'm having conversations with one person or a small group of people, my purpose always is human being centeredness
Mm.
and helping folk to be the best humans that they can be and to bring that humanness to the moment.
Yeah.
It's kind of so when I check in with what am I feeling and thinking about what's being said, I've got that in mind. When I'm speaking myself, I've got that in mind. When I'm listening to somebody else, I've got that in mind. Call it higher purpose, if you will.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think all of these ways with and to each other or us, they're all parts of how we sustain a conversation being compelling but interesting. And I didn't see this coming.
Yeah.
But also key to civility.
Yeah.
Probably should have seen it coming because it's obvious when we talk about it now. But I think civility is one of the great needs. You know, we come into it. How often do you go into a room and there's antagonism? It almost just strangling everyone before anyone says anything.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Instead of let's appreciate, understand that we are in a room with a group of unique, one-of-a-kind human beings.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And we're here to bring the best of us.
Yeah. And I don't know if I've told you before, but we do a T-shirt virtually every quarter.
Yes, you're saying you got new ones coming out.
New ones coming out. It's about the kindness. It's about civility. And can we do it with each other? I had a meeting with one of these. I'm working with a very large organization, and they've got lots and lots of siloed parts to the organization. I was talking to one of the women this morning, and I said to her, what's the most common need that's floating out around there? And she said, oh, I think it's that we need to be fact-based and heart-led.
Fact-based, heart-led.
And heart-led. And I thought, what a cracker.
What a cracker, indeed. What a cracker.
Isn't it? Yeah. And
I'd put it the other way around, heart-led and fact-based.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
You know, we know from the wonderful folk at Heart Math, research into the heart.
Right. Yep.
We know the fact that the heart knows. And what I've been learning, as you know, I wrote a book called Heart Leadership.
Yes. Yes.
And it was really when my wife was ill, and then subsequently I was ill myself. We had to find a way to touch into the core of our being, and we discovered the folk at Heart Math. And I think we learned over a 3-year journey to listen to our heart, to trust our heart because the heart knows, and then to engage the mind. I'm interested in your take from a neuroscientific scientific perspective, because we were both used to the chatter of the mind, the stories we tell ourselves, and we had to put that aside and just hear our hearts. And when we did that, and then we engaged the mind, we got better, and we were, we've both been able to live with our disease.
Yes. Yeah. Gosh.
And two different diseases, same sort of same general area, but.
Ian, whilst I'm more knowledgeable in neuroscience than quantum physics, but I do have an interest in quantum physics, and it's to do with the nano, the tiny, and the interconnected, and the the distinction between particles and form, and how important the space between the particles is.
Enlighten me.
And yet I'm an empirical microbehavioral neuroscientist. So I've got these two pieces of me that that operates, and I'm an intrinsically, deeply heartfelt human being, which I don't have a scientific explanation for at all, but an undeniable experience of. You know, the only thing I can tell you about the importance of love, scientifically, neurologically, is that oxytocin is the chemical that produces the experience.
Yeah.
And it's so much so validly that it's the substance that allows a woman to give birth. And, you know, it's an explosion of oxytocin that actually creates the delivery of a child.
Incredible.
And it's the reason, Ian, why men faint. Because women have carried the child and felt the love and had oxytocin and a whole lot of other things going on during the pregnancy. So they've been used to this incredible, continuously perpetuating experience of love.
Interesting that you would use this word, because I think, and we've only got a few more minutes today, but maybe we can, and we're opening this huge topic here when I say what I'm about to say. But what's love got to do with it?
What's everything?
You and I both know it's everything, and I think that this is what compelling civil conversations do: is they bring love into the room.
Yes, yep. Ian, it's a scientific phenomena. Without love, we can't perpetuate the race, because female organism isn't designed to deliver a child with its structure. It needs this extraordinary chemical to explode into the system to open up things that don't normally open up.
Incredible.
And without love, when people go, what's love got to do with it? Love's the emotion or the experience, because I think it's more than an emotion, the experience that allows humans to reproduce.
Therefore, we should be paying much more attention to it. I think I mentioned before, a colleague, Stephen Faber, he wrote a wonderful book called Love is Just Damn Good Business.
Good trade.
And in the book, he shares some wonderful case studies of businesses that have love at the center of what they do.
Yeah.
And I think we don't talk about it enough.
Wow.
But love. I think it's what the Greeks called philia, which means affectionate regard.
Right. Yeah.
We need more affectionate regard in our conversations.
Yeah.
And in order more philia, and in order to do that, we've got to have as our intention, I believe, that what comes out of our mouths and from our hearts and our minds is compelling, but it's based in civility.
Yeah.
And therefore, you know, love's got it covered. And what you're saying is that when love's in the room, it produces
extraordinary things happen.
Extraordinary chemicals.
Yeah.
That actually are really the stuff of life.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Now, when that's in the room, we could solve all of the world's problems. We could solve all of your clients that you're working with at the moment who are not yet able to negotiate. Here is a key.
Yeah.
We need more philia.
Yep.
We need more love.
I might trickle that toward them slowly, Ian. I'm not quite sure that sure that'd be a compelling proposition for them at this point, but it's a damn good target to aim for.
Funny that you say that, because I had this opportunity recently with a group, and I was, my inner voice is saying, is it time to introduce love? Would that be a good idea? And I found a fair amount of self-resistance to the idea, but something in my heart told me that the timing was right, and so I went for it.
Yep.
And apart from the initial very wide open mouths, it did have a good conclusion.
Yep.
And so I might suggest you be a bit braver, perhaps.
Yes. Yeah. Well,
you never know.
I have I'm very grateful for my duality, because I bring to them a considerable intellect, but I always say it's the love I have for the work I do and the people I influence that gets me across the line, not my intellect. Yeah.
And that's a wonderful insight, isn't it? I think timing, well, Daniel Pink would say, he wouldn't say timing is everything, he would say everything is timing. Which I think is a very interesting way to look at things. But I think the bottom line here, what we're saying, wise conversations that have a civility about them and are compelling by nature, that love has a lot to do with it.
Yep.
And it's a matter of how do we help folk to embrace that in a world that's not so much about love.
Yeah.
And workplaces that are not so much about love. I know it's a path that we have to be on more often.
Yeah.
And I think it's the ways that we get to that path is what you and I are talking about. There is a time and a place.
I'm with you, brother.
Thank you once again, my friend.
It's been a joy, as it always is. I shall look forward to seeing you again soon.
We'll see you in the group on Monday, hopefully.
Yes.
But
take great care.
You go well.
I shall.
Bye.